Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. If you're new, my name is Nicole. If you're old, welcome back. Here, I'll pop in a frame. Hi. I'm making a cookie cake. This is basically for a good cookie cake, like if you're cooking in a 9 by 13 and you want a little depth, not super thin, times the recipe by 1/2. You can use your favorite cookie recipe. I used one that was on the back of a Hershey's a long time ago. I don't accurately measure though, so it's just more as a guideline, so don't forget anything, because I really don't accurately measure much. Except I try to go close with the flour and then the butter, but everything else like salt, vanilla, I don't measure. Baking soda, I don't measure. Sugar, I guess. So I've been baking for years and years and years. Hopefully you just noticed my old, I used to have these at Dollar Tree, these aprons. I don't know if they have them anymore. It's really late at night. I kind of crashed for 4.5 hours, and then I don't know whether this cookie cake is for my niece's 16th birthday, because with the plumbers in here all day Saturday and part of Sunday, it's like I just didn't have time to do it. I was going to get up early Saturday and bake her a cake and then take it over there late Saturday afternoon, but you know, that didn't work out. Tomorrow we're supposed to have a chance of snow mix, so I don't know if we'll be able to get there tomorrow or not. However, this will freeze if I'm worried about it, if I'm worried about not getting there for a couple of days. But it'll keep in the fridge by itself a few days, so I'm not too worried about it. But if it turns out I can't be there till this weekend, or if it doesn't look right, I'll stick it in the freezer and it'll be fine. I do ice and decorate. The cookie cake has been a huge hit with everybody lately. For this recipe, you'll need about 3 1/4 to 3.5 cups of all-purpose flour. You'll need like 1 1/8 cup of brown and white sugar or granulated sugar. You'll need 3 sticks of butter. You can use margarine if you ain't got butter. This is actually real butter, which increases the taste just a little bit, but this is real butter. I use salted. You're not supposed to technically use salted when baking, but I haven't had it to where it affects the taste at all. Either I just balance it out with sugar real well, because you know I don't do exact measurements, or like, because sometimes this can make it taste more salty. Apparently I've never had that issue, but it's supposed to. But or I don't actually put enough salt in when I do this. That's probably it. I only put like a little pinch of salt, really. Probably not as much as I'm supposed to, so that might be what balances it out. So anyway, you want this softened, which means you can leave it out for forever, or you can take a coffee mug, 1 stick at a time. My hands are clean, I washed them already. Okay, and this, you pop it in the microwave at 25 seconds. Sifted. I mean, yeah, it's a new one. I used some old one, I guess. Again, never had a problem with sifted or not sifted. You remember sifting anything, some kind of flour for? It's for maybe some biscuits. Back in a home ec, like when we were learning how to do it. See, I just kind of overfilled them, just a pinch. Now this, unless you were using like a real, like cookie, you know, like a cookie sheet, like they use at Walmart, like that one that's really shallow, you would probably want to follow the cookie recipe almost exactly, because it's so flat. You might get away with putting this ingredient in, but anyway, but because it's so flat, you can use the same type of consistency. This batter I need a little bit more wet, which is why I'm not using as much flour than traditionally would call for. And I know all about that blah 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 blah, separate wet and dry. I don't, hardly ever do I do, and it turns out fine. So technically, if you're not used to it, you don't know what you're doing, then yeah, I totally recommend that. But at the same time, like not over. Now the whole reason why you might not want to like heat your butter up, because it can start cooking certain ingredients like your eggs. So most of the time it is a packed cup that you want brown sugar. So that would be about 1 cup. That one's a little liquidy, but I do like pouring that over the brown sugar because it'll help incorporate it a bit more. As it's a lot of stuff, like you have to get like the pure vanilla. And the recipe I think calls for like 1 teaspoon of that. So it'd be like 1.5 teaspoons. Pinch. Now if you use baking powder, you wouldn't use salt, but salt you use baking soda. This is where cookies, you want to use baking soda or you use baking powder. However, when you do a cookie cake and you add baking powder or baking soda, this one calls for a little bit of salt and a little bit of baking soda. When you do that, what happens to your cake is it rises, and it doesn't rise in the middle like a regular cake does. It rises on the sides. So even when it's done, you gotta dip it in the middle, and it's like risen on the side a good 1/4 to 1/2 inch above, probably more like a half, if not more, like around the edges compared to the middle, and there's nothing you can do about that. I finally figured out, I think it was totally by accident, I just forgot the baking soda. I was probably cooking late at night. I forgot the baking soda, and so it came out smooth and flat. It didn't rise. Well, it rose like a little bit, like enough for the cookies to spread out, and like rose just a little, but it didn't do that dippy thing and rise on them. It just kind of like rose just a pinch, just a little bit evenly. And that was like just a total happenstance mistake, because otherwise I wouldn't have. Really, everybody took me longer to think about that. That was what I needed to do. Was take out, is it the love thing, the rising, whatever. But yeah, that's what you do. So if you've ever tried to bake a cookie cake from the recipe and it's done that, like everyone I tried before I learned that trick had that. Of course, I just decorated, and kids don't care. But it tastes exactly the same. So you don't need the baking powder. Now, would I recommend it with regular cookies? Maybe not, because like my cookies never really rose like a great deal for some reason in the cookie form. They don't rise like that. But I don't know. Maybe with that they would spread out more, maybe. Not sure. Hadn't tried it with that, but it tastes exactly the same. Like a goodness. So there's that. Our butter should be good. It's too small to do this one thing. Oh, I would probably get shell in there. Steel mixer that I got probably 10 years ago, honestly. Actually, it might have came from, I don't think it came from my mom's house. But yeah. Just like crumpling some of that stuff up in there. And turn it over. Okay. Okay, it's a good cookie batter, but it's a little dry. Half a stick left of butter. I'm just gonna melt that. don't have another cake. For some reason, it's drier than I meant to. This is what it looks like. A little bit, it looks fluffy right now, but more moisture than a traditional cookie recipe. Keep chocolate morsels in your freezer, they will last forever. Got some cinnamon butterscotch. This actually has a recipe for butterscotch chip cookies, which are basically what I just did. Actually, it is my exact recipe. I might add some more chocolate. I have more chocolate available. Oh, and your oven should have been preheated, sorry. This one says 375. I actually would go between 375 and 350 for at least a glass pan. And yeah, see how it more moisturized. I think it beat. Butterscotch is a really strong flavor, so you don't have to add as many of those if you don't want to. I mean, me and kids love it, but it is a stronger flavor than you think. You just trying to. I'm about to have a morsel. Pretty much what it looks like. There's a lot in there. Now this isn't like a cake batter. You just pour and maybe bang a couple of times to get the bubbles out. No, you will need to spread this. And as messy as it can be, it sometimes spreads better with your fingers than any kind of utensil that's just going to gather up the batter again. So yeah, and spread this around just to even it up, because it will spread some by itself, but you don't want to depend on it to do it on its own. If you want like a even bake. I probably should have buttered this pan. Sometimes this pan sticks. This is my newer glass pan and I don't know why, but it likes to stick to most out of any pans I have. I mean, you can clean it up, spread out on its own. So all these like swirls and stuff are not going to be there by the time you pull it out. Like it'll have evened out on its own. As long as it's at a low enough cooking temperature, not trying to bake it at that temperature. And that's what it looks like. And we're going to pop it in the oven. It's going to take like 40 minutes or more. But yeah, there's the cookie cake. I will try to show you the end result. If I get iced, I don't know if I'll get iced today. Probably not. But yeah, so thank you for watching. Like and subscribe, toodles. Toodles.